News tonight, Vacaville police releasing the identity of one of the victims killed in a double homicide over the weekend. Their bodies live streamed by their accused killer.
The video unsettling to say the least, showing two women in the background without any clothes on, not moving.
Imagine you were scrolling through your Instagram like usual when you happen upon a shocking live video of a man in a room holding a blower, seemingly going crazy while two women's bodies lay in the corner undressed behind him and not moving, while he's ranting about his upcoming firefight with police that he plans on using to take his own life.
Hey, the police finna come in, I'ma get them. I'm gonna die today. I'm gonna die today.
Well, fast forward and he gets caught, and you soon start learning the shocking and disgusting details behind what happened to those women. Well, one woman and a 15-year-old girl, and what type of twisted individual the man who Instagram live streamed their unliving is. But who was this woman and this young girl, and how did they end up with this psychopath? Well, the story is as terrifying as it is sad.
Vacaville police say the bodies of a 15-year-old girl and a 27-year-old woman named Savannah Theberg could be seen on the apartment floor, as Weber live streamed himself holding a gun on social media.
And this is the IamJoeStone podcast, where we find the most shocking and provocative stories in the culture and take them to church. So make sure you subscribe and stay tuned, because this story has twists that you have to watch to the end that will blow your mind. You see, it all started when a 29-year-old man identified as Raymond Michael Weber went live on Instagram, having committed the heinous crime of killing two women. So what events led to this, and how did the police nab Weber and put this whole story together? Well, on January 30th, 2021, police received a report that a man armed with a handgun, later identified as Weber, was live streaming from an apartment where two women were appeared to be unalived and lying on the floor. During the live stream, Weber mumbled about how the two women tried to set him up alongside his rapper brother. Now, what he wouldn't say is that his brother at the time was locked in prison and had pretty much zero contact with him. But he would go on to talk about his betrayers while telling his viewers to pray for him, as that day would be his last time he'd be seen on Instagram live and alive.
These bitches try to set me up. Ozzy Marcus and Shetty P trying to have me killed, dog.
While at it, he would close his dead victim's eyes. And the most disturbing part about all of this, it seems like he was pretty comfortable in this situation. Now, maybe it was hard drugs or just simply a mental break, but something wasn't right with this man. And we would find out exactly how dark this story would get. You see, police will respond to the call in no time, arriving at the Rocky Hill Veterans Apartments in the 500 block of Rocky Hill Road a little past 12:40 a.m. Upon their arrival, the SWAT and critical incident negotiation team tried to negotiate their way through, but were unsuccessful as Weber had barricaded himself inside the home. Following the team's failed attempt at negotiation, neighbors were evacuated from the premises, and flashbangs and chemical agents were subsequently deployed in the occupied unit. After an 8-hour standoff, officers broke into the apartment where they found Weber hiding. Weber initially tried to resist arrest, but he was later pinned down with a taser. And at 8:32 a.m., Weber was finally arrested. The police would go on to reveal that both victims were already dead when the arrest was made. And the older victim was identified as Savannah DeBarge of Utah, who also happens to be his fiance. And while the teenager whose name was being withheld, or is being withheld because she's underage, was a 15-year-old girl from Elk Grove, south of Sacramento. And it seems like she was human trafficked. Now, one of the most interesting parts of this story before we go on is that Weber is identified as an Army veteran, and while he wasn't currently active duty at the time, you would think that this is not the kind of crime you would expect from someone like him, until you took a look at his background, and it will become a little less shocking, because after investigation, it showed that Weber had had several run-ins with the law. He was once interrogated by police in 2014 after his brother Antoine Weber allegedly shot and took the life of Weber's girlfriend, 19-year-old Nicole Duarte. She died 2 days later, and Weber was believed to be present at the time of the shooting. If anything, this event in 2014 could just be a foreshadowing of the next event that would be much worse, or it could be that this man had a history of committing violence when it came to women. It's just very strange that your girlfriend would be unalived by your brother right in front of you. But we would also find out that Weber was convicted in 2006 of assault with a firearm in 2016, of unlawful possession of a controlled substance while armed, both in Sacramento, and both of these were felonies. So again, he was no stranger to the law.
According to criminal records out of Sacramento County, where police say Weber is from, this is not his first time in court. Records show he was sentenced to 6 years in state prison in 2006 after pleading no contest to felony assault. He served 90 days in jail for a probation violation in May of 2014. Later that year, sentenced to 6 months probation after pleading no contest to second-degree felony assault. In 2016, he pleaded no contest to possession of cocaine base.
But getting back to the story, why did Weber take the life of these two females, and who were they to him? Well, a police report stated that Weber was allegedly pimping out his fiancée, the barge, and the other unidentified teenager. Exactly a day before this incident, Savannah's mother is said to have seen her daughter with a light-skinned black man. She told police that she tried to stop her daughter from leaving in the car, but she was unable to do so. And unfortunately, a few hours later, he would end up taking her daughter's life. While talking to police, Taylor the barge revealed that her daughter had called to say she was engaged to Weber and showed her the engagement ring. Savannah also told her mother of her plans to visit Weber's aunt a day before her murder. The apartment where all of this went down happened to be his aunt's apartment, and they did go to visit her. Apparently, they had been involved before. What is most tragic is that the mother would have to identify her daughter in the video from her tattoos, and she believes that her daughter was manipulated by Weber, who police now believe, again, was a pimp. Another fact that corroborated the allegation that Weber was pimping out these girls was the post that he made online where he allegedly was trying to sell a woman, stating people could do anything they wanted with her for $420 an hour. When police checked the victim's cell phones, data showed that the girls had visited different motels, and the CCTV footage of these motels further revealed that the victims were going into rooms with different men, especially the 15-year-old. Apparently, the two girls had followed Weber to his aunt's place in California. While giving her statement, Weber's cousin, McCaleb, said that she identified Weber and his location from the Instagram live stream. She added that she saw a bullet hole in one of the victims' bodies. McCaleb testified that the two victims arrived at her mother's Rocky Hill Road apartment on January 29th while McCaleb was working on homework. She let Weber into the apartment but returned to her room. Later, she exited her room and saw several people hanging out on the couch in the living room. Amongst the people were Weber's two victims. She would go on to state that she saw the young girl and the older woman, and they both looked distressed and were covered in bruises and bandages all over their bodies. Subsequently, things would blow up when McCaleb was accused of giving a cell phone to the young victim, something that a man who is trafficking a young girl would not want her to have. He was so infuriated that he choked out McCaleb. When Weber's aunt saw what was happening, she asked that Weber would leave her house. However, he refused, so McCaleb, very smartly, and her mother and siblings angrily left the home for him since he wouldn't leave. This probably very well saved their lives. However, the most unsettling thing about this entire situation was that McCaleb revealed that it wouldn't be the first time Weber would bring a female to her mother's home. I think the aunt was probably suspicious of Weber, and all of these could have been avoided if she had notified the authorities much earlier, especially with the type of violent behavior he was exhibiting even that day. But we're not gonna judge one of the people who were victimized by this man. It just seems like this may have been able to be avoided if police had got there sooner and known what had been going on, because he was obviously spiraling out. Now, following his arrest, Weber was taken to Staten Correctional Facility in Fairfield without bail. He made his first court appearance on February 2nd, 2021 in Department 11, where he faced charges on 2 accounts of murder and being a felon in possession of a firearm. He also faced charges of domestic violence and making terroristic threats, both cited in an out-of-county warrant. Now, if convicted at trial, Weber may face the death penalty or life without parole. It's good to know that his victims will get the justice they deserve, but sadly, it will never bring them back. And I can only imagine the plight of the families they've had to suffer. Savannah left a 4-year-old behind and a grieving mother. A friend of Savannah's described her as an amazing person. And while again, his conviction may not bring back those women, hopefully it deters others from following his path. Now, with all this being said, and how crazy this all was, we can't leave out the influence of both mental illness and maybe even drugs in this situation. Judging from his demeanor on camera and during the Instagram live, I don't think anyone would do that knowing what was at stake. So in light of that, on June 16th, 2022, the judge scheduled a doctor's report about Weber's mental competency and ability to help in his defense. Well, not for long, but it would come back that the court decided that Weber was considered mentally competent, meaning that he won't be able to use "oh, I am crazy" defense. But let us know what you think in the comments. Could this have been stopped earlier? But that's our story, and I'm Joe Stone, and this is the Church of Joe Stone podcast. Well, cool comes to pray. You come to stay and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss another video coming your way. We find the more shocking and provocative stories in the culture and take them to church. I will see you in the next one.